for the board's awareness that are here, we are going to flip 10 agenda items 10 and 11 so that we will have the superintendent's report before the Utah education agenda item. Board members, let's go ahead and get started. We are back here. I know it was a great reference. It was a great reference. The public missed out on it, and I'm not going to repeat it. But we are going to move forward. We are on agenda item 10, but we are going to move to agenda item 11 and then come back to agenda item 10. So agenda item 11 is the superintendent's report. And Superintendent Dixon, we're close, it looks like. Okay, we'll just wait a few seconds while the technology issue. Okay, we'll give it a minute, and as soon as she gets in here, Superintendent Dixon, the time is yours.
Okay, I think we're good to go, right, Ryan? Chair Hymas, you ready for me to start?
Yes, please. I think we have all board members present. We're ready to go.
We're missing a couple, but that's all right. Whoever comes are the right people. That's my mantra. All right, I thought I would start with a visit to Washington, D.C. And the reason I asked for the change on agenda is that it's pertinent to the next item. You might find it interesting. So it's tradition this time of year that my peers meet through the organization of Council of Chief State School Officers, and we visit our congressional delegation and have meetings. In the past, we've paired with, the conference has been paired with NASB, but they did not have a spring NASB conference. And so normally we would be with board members meeting with our congressional delegation. So we were solo. So Dr. Voorhees and Dr. Nui and I met with 4 of our delegation, got pictures with 2 of them. But generally we're coming for an ask. And this time we did not come for an ask, but we came for a conversation around what is happening with the Department of Education. And without fail, each one of them said, "Oh, Superintendent, we are so excited to see you because we've been wanting to know what you know about the Department of Education," which was, obvious to us that they were not getting information, and they all declared as much. They just said, "We know that you're getting information, you're getting letters. We're not getting that kind of information." So we did make a commitment through their education leads in each of their offices to send them, when we get information, that we'll send that forward when it's pertinent, and then they want to know how that impacts us. So, for example, the first communication that I got when doging, I guess that's a verb now, when doging started to occur, was actually from one of our partners. It did not come from the department, but it was around a research partner, one of the region education labs that we'd been doing work with for 10 years. And they had supported our work around teacher retention and a few other research projects. So, it comes out as fast and furiously, and to know that they weren't feeling connected and wanting to know what was going on, we'll have a better communication stream, making contacts with their staff. But always great conversations. They made a great deal of time for us. I appreciated Congressman Kennedy, who came out of a transportation meeting to meet with us, and he didn't have to do that. And Congresswoman Malloy, she had 4 things going on at once, but she popped in, and they were just very gracious. So everybody made time for us, and we appreciate it. Then I also had the opportunity one evening to meet with just the chiefs, my peers, and Secretary McMahon. And that was really interesting. I will tell you that it was the most informal meeting I've ever had with the Secretary of Education. Normally they're very formal, and you're seated, and they're kind of scripted questions, and they give a speech, and then they're in and out and surrounded, and it's just kind of fast and furious. She wanted to spend an hour with us. She went around and asked each one of us our names and where we were from and what we were working on. Then she did give about a 10-minute speech, if you want to call it that. And she was very clear about her directive. She was not straying from that. She was clear about the directive to, I don't think she used the word dismantle, but to really look into the Department of Education and look at wasteful spending. And so she talked a bit about the different pots of money that it's sort of TBD about where they're going, whether it's Health and Human Services or other places. And the one message I would bring back from her, there were a lot of things she talked about that in an informal way. I don't feel like I should share publicly. I'm nothing secretive, but just that I think her overriding message is that she really cares about students with disabilities, students living in poverty. She said, I want to make sure that where we find waste, I hope I'm quoting her correctly, but this is what I took away. Where we find waste, we want to make sure that comes back into special education. She indicated that she knows that there are students who have greater needs, that their needs are more costly, and that we're underfunded. She recognizes that states are putting some money in, but the federal government has been responsible for IDEA, and since we have the law, she wanted to make sure that continued to be funded and even funded at a greater level. She talked about maybe sending things back to the states in a block grant. That's kind of what they're looking at, but they're trying to figure out the logistics of all of that right now. She did bring up ESSA, and I think somebody asked her the question, and she said, we're not touching that. That's congressional, and they have not indicated that they are willing to bring that up at this time until things get settled. So if any kind of reauthorization happens, she said it would probably not be this year or maybe even the next, but Congress would take that up, and there just didn't seem to be I'm using her words. They might say something different in Congress, but it was her sense that was not something that they would tackle at this time. The other thing we talked about was NAEP, and she feels strongly that NAEP still should stay in place so that we have some way to assess as a nation how we're doing. She did give opportunity for Q&A, and I asked the question about research and development. So for example, EdFacts, Aaron received communication, Aaron Bruff, that we were, the EdFacts office was being disbanded. So they've basically doged all the people, but EdFacts would stay put. So the question was, well, what does that mean? Where does that data go? If you have, and I think she was very gracious about saying, I don't understand. I don't know what that is. And so we explained it to her and said, we have to certify the data that comes to you, because that's then how you turn around and determine how much money to give back to us. So she had her chief of staff highlight that and look into it. And I said, it's just when all the people are gone, but we're still held accountable to send you things, we want to know where the data is, what's being done with it, where's it being housed. And I think a lot of people have concerns about if NCES and other federal entities using data are disbanded, what happens to that? So that's just, it was great to meet with her and to hear her perspective and some of the things that they're doing. But I will tell you that the communication we get changes daily. So we'll get a communication that waivers for ESSER funds that were extended to a certain period, that is called back, meaning that the extended period they've decided not to extend. And so then the next minute we're hearing something different, that maybe they will extend that. So it's kind of a moving target. I have to be honest. We get communications. There was a communication that came out from OCR today related to Title VI that I will forward to all of you, and it's asking us to certify that our LEAs are in compliance with all of the things around Title VI involving DEI. And we certify that LEAs are in compliance with Title VI and all the title programs through the assurances anyway, so it's a practice that we already use. And I just would sign off on the letter and send it back. So we're getting a lot of communication, but oftentimes, most often, it's not from the department directly. It's from somebody who's been impacted by the department, and then they let us know. So it's coming out in a lot of different ways. So she was really, Secretary McMahon acknowledged that the one thing that they're trying to do a better job of is communication. And they recognize that it's coming in a lot of different places and trying to streamline that. So I just wanted to share that with you. There was, there were a lot of there were more questions than answers, and she acknowledged that. Secretary McMahon acknowledged that so much of what they're doing is TBD, and that they're trying to work more closely with DOJ. Before she was there, cuts were just being made without conversation, and so they're in conversation. Whether they get the results they want or not, at least they're at the table in conversation with DOJ. So that's as much as we know today, and tomorrow that could change based on any email that we get from a various department. So I hope that's helpful, and feel free to ask me any questions about it. Two things in-house I want to report on. One is about writing, and a prior board, not quite a decade ago, decided that writing should not be part of the assessment system. And that came from a variety of perspectives. But we found that over time, without assessing writing, it was one of the things that tended to drop off. And we've been concerned about it. So we surveyed the field, and it revealed that the data we got back revealed that about 57% of our educators just said, I don't have the confidence to teach writing well. And at one time, we were really pressing that every teacher is a writing teacher. For those of you that are educators in the room, you probably remember that there was a big push for that to make sure that kids were getting exposed to a lot of writing. And that just has not been the case. So this really highlighted a critical area of support for us. They were saying to us, can you help us? Can you do something for us? And indeed, we did that. And so in March, we actually opened up some professional learning, and we had over 400 applicants apply, and that was more than we thought that we could manage. This probably just isn't advancing at the speed of light, is it, Ryan? Because I see your finger moving, but the slide isn't. So we had over 400 applicants, thinking that we would have slots for about 250, but we wanted to accommodate as many as we could. And you can see how that split into a cohort. So we took about a little under 225, but then we're going to continue to support the others who applied and open up another cohort. And I think the most important thing with this as well is that we're going to continue on supporting them responsibly with coaching. So the ongoing learning, if you just show up at a workshop, that's malpractice. Like, there's got to be follow-up and support. So the coaching comes next, and in April, our team is going out and providing that kind of support, along with all of the reading specialists. So all of this is done in concert with the law and the rules that we have with science of reading. So it's not something else, it's embedded in. And we're getting we just had a lot of positive follow-up. I love this one about writing isn't perfectly perfect, and they want, we're really working on kids thinking of themselves as writers. Part of my experience in Washington, there was a one-day math, it was kind of like a focus on math, or a math seminar within a conference, and I was asked to present on a panel with some of the things we're doing with math, including updating standards. And you know, the big push was when kids say, I'm not a math person, or adults especially say, I'm not a math person, we're all math people. We all have the capacity to understand numbers, and it's true with writing. We can all write. And I appreciated Member Earl talking about the bricks. I went over and looked at those very closely. And if you look at watercolors, super hard anyway. But Member Earl, what you said about practice, I had to practice before I went to the mat here and really try to get the technique right. And that's the same with writing. Practice, 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 and we get better. I don't think I had helpful critique on my own writing until I was in college. And a professor said to me, you turned everything in, you did really well. You earned an A, but I'm going to give you a C. And I remember feeling so shocked. And he said, do you feel like you did your best work? I said, no, I completed the assignment. And he said, there's more in you. There's more in you when it comes to writing. And that was a powerful moment for me as a student. And that's what our teachers are learning to do. How do we engage our students so that they become writers and think of themselves as writers? Not everybody has to be an author, but we all have words to express. And our kids are in such a social media moment with acronyms and quick text. And so I'm really excited that the field is saying, State Board of Education, we want your help in facilitating and building capacity so that we're getting it in our LEAs. So kudos to our staff. I think Christina's in the audience and Julie. Who else is back there? Stand up and wave if you were involved in this. Awesome support. Thank you. All right. And then last but not least, I wanted to report back on the apprenticeship that we worked hard to get. Tennessee was the first state who paved the way, and we jumped right on their coattails to get a registered apprenticeship through the Department of Labor. And in doing so, we have to have an acronym, so we're calling it URAPT, but it's the Utah Apprenticeship. Malia is not here. Oh, there you are, Malia. What does it stand for? The URAPT. What is URAPT? Program for Teachers. Thank you. I love it. It's easy to remember URAPT, but I don't know about the rest of it. So we launched, and Malia and her team had been working on this behind the scenes before we became official. And based on that work, Dr. Haidt and Christina Guevara presented at the second national convening for registered apprenticeships in January. So we're out there, we're working with people, we're partnering with universities. So you can see that there was a teacher apprenticeship symposium held, and we've already got all these partners jumping on. 17 LEAs have signed on, and 7 have been actively recruiting teachers to go into the apprenticeship program. And it's been my understanding that when these get launched, it takes a while for people to trust the process and get involved. But we've had charters and districts lean right in to make this happen. So we're really excited about the way ahead. Our universities, I think we have 8 that are working directly in the program, which is also great. They're not seeing it as a competition, but they're seeing it as a collaboration. So it's one more way for us to get quality teachers into the classrooms. And I just want to give you that report because it hasn't been that long since we launched this, and we were able to hire Christina to help run the program. And it's very exciting that we're moving forward so quickly. So that is my report, Chair Hymas, unless there are any comments or questions.
Not seeing, Member Green.
You struck a chord with me when you said your professor said you could get an A, but I'm giving you a C. My son, and this ties back with our writing committee because we just had some conversation about this in standards and assessment and learning how writing is applied to all these different areas in school. So my son takes a robotics class, and there's that design process that you have to go through. And he comes after school and he's so distraught because he's rewritten it 4 times and the teacher won't pass him. And I'm like, yes. But then I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. So he spends the evening and he writes, and he takes it back and it passes. So when he comes back the next day, we sit down and he shows me how it went from chicken scratch to paragraphs. And I mean, it was such a beautiful gift for, first of all, for the teacher to say, I see more potential in you. And then to see how the ability to write in a robotics class completely transformed and developed his idea. So anyway, it's just so important. I'm so excited that this is a conversation that's happening, and that this is the type of things that we're supporting our teachers with and developing it more. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Member Green. I think I would add too that with artificial intelligence and it being so easy to just plop things into ChatGPT or whatever you're using, it's more timely than ever in talking about how do you integrate AI but not give up and in fact double down on writing skills. So just so appreciate that we have staff who are on it and really being responsive to the data.
We also have a comment from Member Lear.
Thank you. And I have to say this is one of my greatest desires, to see young people, and I know I'm absolutely swimming against the current, but I absolutely think we have to do everything possible as educators and parents and grandparents to make sure that our children write better and our grandchildren write better, because as we all say periodically, words matter. And yet then we're looking at a document and the word's not quite accurate or the verb's wrong, and somehow that's not very important. So I just want to say, kind of defending myself a little bit, when issues like that come up in discussion at the board, we are the Board of Education. We're not the Tax Commission. We're not the Natural Resources Board. And I think we should set an example every single moment of educators and leaders who use words correctly and artfully. So you'll kind of, I'm saying sorry, but not so sorry, because I really think it's important that we, in every document that we send out, they're written excellently. And it is consistent with helping teachers to teach writing better.
Thank you. Superintendent, back to you.
Okay, I think we'll go to our art presentation. So could we have could we have Lori come to the front? Oh, Lori, were you planning on presenting? Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, I should probably do this after, but I'm going to do it now. So, oh man, I know I'm trying not to feel emotional. Yeah, I'll try it. Lori Bayevsky. She is a woman full of grace. She is passionate. She is lovely. I love how she comes every month and describes student artwork, not just in this sort of check the box way, but in a way that teaches me every single month when she presents artwork. I feel like I'm learning something along with the students. And Lori is following the good example of Patty Norman, who really did not flunk retirement. She's doing it well. And Lori is going down that road in mid-April. So this will be, yes, I know. So this is her last formal presentation to us. And it's not fair to do this before you present, Lori, but I just want everyone to know how hard she has worked to find cushions in the couch for Beverly Taylor Sorensen, how she has worked to put art programs together when sometimes people just can't see the way through. She exudes creativity and love and light, and has helped us all embrace all of the arts. And she's just fulfilled this role magnificently. And we will miss her dearly, and I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge her and her hard work before the board and the public. So thank you, Lori. All right, with that, let's see you pull it off.
I'm going to put my glasses on so you can't see me crying. It is my distinct honor and privilege to sit before you as your Fine Arts Coordinator and the Beverly Taylor Sorensen Arts Learning Program Coordinator. And thank you, Superintendent Dixon, for your kind and generous words, and for the kind and generous way in which you lead this august body. And before I dive into it, I just want to say thank you. Thank you, each one of you, for what you do every day. It's hard work, and it's important work. And you agree, everybody agrees that we want the best for our kids. And what you're seeing on the walls is a direct manifestation of your hard work and your support for a really robust, integrative, holistic education for every student in the state of Utah. And with that, wow, whew, that was my moment to just kind of breathe. What you're seeing today is a representation of art from our BTS Arts partner program at Utah State University. The endowed program is called Arts Are Core. And I think it's appropriate because I'm just going to say it for the last time. Arts are core. And this represents both community-based children's art as well as BTS programs so the USU region, it's from Cache Valley to San Juan. And so I'm going to start with the community program, which is a long-standing program. You've seen it on the walls in past years. This is our Art in Transit program, and it's basically our Wrap the Bus. And they wrap the outsides of the bus, and these are the actual placards that go on the inside of the bus. And the technique was used by pre-K through grade 5 students, and it represents 4 schools: the Edith Bowen Lab School in Logan, Lewiston Elementary, which is a Cache County school, Bluff Elementary, and I'm going to say this, Tsibit.
It's a bin in the sky.
Yeah, would you say that?
It's a bin in the sky.
Thank you. Everybody say that 5 times. Yes. And those are both from the San Juan district, and we're so proud of this work. This is a technique that we've shown on the walls before. It's cyanotype. And cyanotype is a technique, it's almost like tie-dyeing, where you use photosensitive paper, and the students put objects on the paper, and without using a camera, it's one of the earliest photographic techniques. And I'm just going to read all the things that they used. So feathers, buttons, alphabet, pasta letters, handprints, cutout shapes. And then after they had their design, you expose this photo paper to light, and then you get that reverse image that you're seeing. So those are those 2 panels, and then we have at the front of the board, I'm going to go through 3 other projects. One is from Bear River Charter School, and these are 3rd graders. And the BTS arts educator there is Jessica Scott. And speaking of literacy and reading and writing, they use the book Beautiful Blackbird by Ashley Bryan, integrating social studies and art to deepen their understandings of culture and symmetry. And you'll notice for this 3rd grade project, you'll see the horizon line where the sky and the water mirror each other, adding reflective details to the water. So that's the Beautiful Blackbird. And then we have 2 really quite interesting projects from Canyons Elementary in Hiram. And the 4th grade project is also based on a book. And I love it that our BTS arts teachers are working with the classroom teachers on these integrative lesson plans. The book they used is Now You See Them, Now You Don't. And this is about camouflaged animals that are in nature, and bringing it to place, they used the Blacksmith Fork Canyon, which is right in the hills in Cache Valley. And they looked at blending the animals with their environment. And they explored color as well as ecosystems. And then the last one is 6th grade, also from Canyon Elementary, and I failed to mention the BTS arts teacher, Melanie Haslam, who does an amazing job. And you'll see Melanie's work in both the 4th grade and 6th grade project, where these are multi-dimensional, even though they're on paper. You'll see that they layered their environments with cardboard and color, and kind of some ripped and shredded elements. So the 6th grade project is the Egyptian portraits. And I found this really interesting. So how many times have I looked at an Egyptian portrait and not recognized that the torso is facing front as the head is profiled? And so each one of these, they looked at Egyptian design and symmetry, and they called it the Egyptian portrait formula, where it's a profile view with a frontal torso. Then the students added elements of themselves into this portrait, and specifically, they discussed various headdresses represented and what those meanings were, and then the students could design their own or borrow one from the various headdresses represented. They used Egyptian colors, and again, they used textured paper in homage to Egyptian papyrus. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurie. We hope you enjoy your time. Before you go, we have at least one comment, so don't go too far. Member Bogus.
Lady, I know you'll be here a little bit longer, but you have been one of the most wonderful people to work with ever in 25 years of educational service and work in the arts. And I cannot tell you how sad and shocked I was to hear Superintendent say that you're leaving us. Well done, friend. You've done good work. And I appreciate the time you spent with me, and I've appreciated the work you've done on behalf of the students in this state. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Member Bogus, back to you, Superintendent.
Yeah, if I could just acknowledge, I don't know if you all know who Christina Guevara is. You've had the pleasure of hearing and interacting with Malia, but Christina, would you just mind standing? Christina is our specialist over the apprenticeship, and it's something we should be super proud of. It's new, and she is killing it. I've seen her present a couple of times at different conferences, and Christina it's not just something new about the apprenticeship, but she really understands quality professional development, quality instructional practices. So I feel so blessed that we get to have her as our education specialist over this program, and I wanted you to see her face to be able to associate that with her name. So thank you, Dr. DeBera. That's it.
Okay, thank you.